I am Alen Stellian, the Midlife Empowerment Coach, and today I am introducing Pamela Klein, our guest speaker for the day. Pamela is a practitioner of homeopathy. Homeopathy is a holistic form of medicine, but she is not an MD. She first heard of homeopathy when her two sons were younger from other moms in a La Leche League playgroup. And she wanted to know more. She enrolled in the School of Homeopathy in England and then in the California Center for Homeopathic Education. It's a big word. Her learning is ongoing. She feels choice is important when it comes to our healthcare, and to know that we have choices. In her homeopathic practice, she sees babies through older adults for many of the health issues people experience today. So Pamela, welcome. I have been so looking forward to our conversation.
Oh, I have too. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, just to get us started, can you explain what the heck is homeopathy? Because I've heard of it, I know a little bit of something about it, but I think a lot of people kind of may not even know what that is.
And I think you're right. People have heard the word, and often they think it is the word, it takes the place of the word natural. And it is a natural form of medicine, but homeopathy is its own form of medicine. And it's based, the main principle is like cures like, or the law of similars. And actually homeopathy means similar suffering. So when I meet with a patient, I am finding out about them and how they experience what bothers them, and then giving them the similar or the like in the form of the homeopathic remedy. And there are over 4,000 of them. So it's really to understand, and I don't know all those 4,000 homeopathic remedies, but it's a very individual form of medicine. So it's really to find out about the person. So then you're matching, giving the similar to what the person's experiencing. And that's the like cures like.
Okay, so that's interesting. Can you, I'm sure you're going to give us some examples, because
this is a very simple example that a lot of homeopaths use. So when you think about, if somebody has a cold or an allergy and they have their like streaming eyes and their eyes are burning and tearing and stinging and just feel really uncomfortable, their nose might be running too, and they're dripping and they look like they're crying.
Yeah.
But their eyes don't feel good. So the homeopathic remedy Allium cepa, which is made from the red onion, may be very helpful for somebody who has those kind of symptoms, whether it's a cold or an allergy. And you think about when you cut an onion, what is happening, how you feel. You know, people say, oh, you're crying. Well, you're not just crying. You want to rub it. You want to rub.
Yeah, they're stinging, it doesn't, it's not the same.
So that could be healing for somebody who is experiencing that type of a symptom. So that's the like cures like in a very simple way.
Interesting.
But also to know too, that yes, it's made from the red onion, but it's not that you go get an onion and you take a bite. The homeopathic remedies are made in homeopathic pharmacies all over the world. There are pharmacies, and there's a certain way that the substance is made into a homeopathic remedy. And the man who developed homeopathy, Samuel Hahnemann, was a German physician in the late 1700s, and he became very disillusioned to the way medicine was practiced at that point. And somehow he came up with a lot of about homeopathy, and I won't go down all of that, but he found that substances like could be curative, but they actually killed people when they were used. Like mercury for syphilis was used at that time. You know, people were healed, but they were dead because it was a poison. So he sort of came up with this way of making the substances like mercury more gentle in their healing by diluting it and what we call succussing, shaken vigorously and banging it. Actually, he used to do it against a Bible and doing that many, many times. And at a certain point, there's nothing left of what the substance is made from. It's the energetic pattern. So homeopathy is an energetic form of medicine. So mercury, mercurius is the homeopathic remedy. can be very helpful if it is matches how somebody is experiencing what is bothering them. So the reason why I say this, why do I say this? Because of the onion that the Allium cepa has gone through this process of being potentized, made into a homeopathic remedy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm still having a hard time grasping how this, I don't know if it's how this works or if I need more examples or like, how can you help us?
Well, it's like that, the way it works, and then I'll give you more examples. It's as though I often say that and homeopaths too, that our symptoms are the way that we're trying to heal ourselves. And so it's the guide for the homeopath to see what homeopathic remedy to give. And by giving the similar, it's sort of like here, you're trying to heal yourself with these symptoms, but you get stuck.
Right.
So giving the similar of the way you're trying to heal, but a slightly different frequency. And this is where that kind of crazy science, it's as though it helps push you through it. And it's also assisting the person's own healing ability to heal.
Right.
I know that it's a different way of looking at.
I know, I'm so like, linear and like science things that it's hard for me. And I that's why I'm kind of pushing on this, because I want to understand it. And anybody in the group who's kind of like, I don't really, so can you give us maybe some examples would help of like what you might do to help somebody, or like, of people you've helped?
Well, yeah. And I don't know if this is going to answer what the kind of the example, like you and I were talking earlier, and warts. I've seen over this last year, three different children who had warts, and, some on their hands and fingers, some on their legs, on their toes. And I take the case, which is finding out what this is like for them, what is bothering them. And each of them did very well with homeopathy, and each needed a different homeopathic remedy. So it wasn't a remedy for the warts. So it was a remedy for the warts plus this particular child and what they experienced. And they all did really well. And if I looked at, there's a homeopathic repertory, which is like an index and a tool for homeopaths. And I looked under warts, there could be like 40, 50 homeopathic remedies listed. So it's not like, oh, you have this,
let me give you that. Yeah,
exactly. Except, I'm going to confuse you even more. In first aid situations, like, a sprain or a cut or a fall or something,
right.
there are very specific homeopathic remedies that can be helpful for first aid.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how do you decide which, I'm assuming this is your training, like how do you decide you've got 3 kids with warts, they might each need a different one of the 40 options? And are these ingestibles usually, or like topical, or is it?
Yeah, I don't have the boron in front of me. No, they're little white pellets.
Okay.
There are topical creams that people use, like Arnica cream or whatever. And they can help, but that's not what I do. It's something you take internally because you heal from the inside out.
Okay.
Yeah. And in fact, one little girl, she didn't notice anything after taking the remedy. She took 1 or 2 or 3 doses of the remedy, and then we wait, and we didn't notice anything for 4 or 5 weeks. And then she started to notice that the warts were going away.
Interesting.
Another boy, he didn't notice anything until 2 weeks that the warts started to go away. So it's not like a direct.
Right. It's like you need to give it time to figure out if it's going to work.
Well, that, and it's stimulating your own healing. And we all have our own way, sort of the way we heal or the time that we heal. And I know that we all want to feel better yesterday, know. And we're kind of used to that kind of amelioration in what medications are out there, that you take something and the headache's gone. It doesn't mean it's gone forever, but it's gone for that period of time.
Exactly.
So yeah, but the homeopathic remedies are really liquid, but they're poured into vials, which I get from homeopathic pharmacies.
Okay.
And they're little white pellets, and you tip them into your tongue. You don't take very many, and you let them dissolve, and that's it.
Wow. And so are they like little pills, or you're like they're smaller than that?
Yeah, they're little white pills. They come in different sizes. Pharmacies have different sizes. And actually what they do is that the remedy is liquid, and the pills, the pellets, I call them, absorb the liquid. And sometimes I have people dissolve the pellets in water and take a teaspoonful of the water dissolved homeopathic remedy, and we do that. I often have people do that who are very sensitive, or an acute situation like a flu or a cold or first aid, that they take it in the form of a liquid.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So how is this different from, let's say, a vaccine? I mean, is the idea that you're stimulating your system to combat something is that?
Yes. Yeah. My dad always used to say it's similar. It's not. I know it sounds like it is.
Right.
Because you're giving the similar into what somebody's already experiencing, first of all. You're not,
okay.
or have been exposed to, per se.
Right.
Because I have like a family, the mother had strep throat, and we did a particular homeopathic remedy. And I said, you know what, prophylactically, let's give that homeopathic remedy to, your children, because you've been
Okay.
exposed to it.
Right.
So with a vaccine, and I don't want to go too much into that, you're given, first of all, you're given it as a shot most of the time.
Right.
And you may not have been exposed to it. It's not a like cures like. And there are other components in that, what's being injected into you. It's
Right.
not just,
so it's different
similar.
than that.
It's not
Yeah.
just similar to you. Mhm.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
that
This is,
that
that
make
helps.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah. No, the whole, this is clearly a vaccine is not like cures like, and it's also supposed to be, before you have anything. Here you're addressing like a problem. You're not doing, it's not,
But
before you're not treating people who want to prevent something from
But
happening.
you can do it a little
You
bit
can.
prophylactically, which I said about that family,
Oh,
and,
right.
when this
Oh,
whole
right.
thing
Yeah.
with the coronavirus over this last year and a half, that I've listened to a lot of webinars given by different homeopaths all over the world about what remedies are useful for this virus, plus
Oh,
if
right.
there's a reaction to the vaccine. And historically, homeopathy is very helpful in epidemics, like in the 1918 flu epidemic. That was
right.
very, very helpful. But anyway, there was often in an epidemic, a handful of remedies come up that are useful for that particular epidemic. And also they were saying, maybe prophylactically, if you think you've been exposed, because I remember this was back more in the spring of 2020, that maybe do one or two of the particular homeopathic remedies that were found to be helpful for this virus, but maybe to do it prophylactically. And you don't take it every day. It's not something you take every day.
Okay.
I mean, it's very individual. It's a very individual form of medicine. I always say that the person tells me, not that they come out and say, hey, Pam, this is what I need. They tell me what homeopathic remedy they need. They tell me how often they need it, and they tell me the potency or the strength. It's when I take the case. So I will tell you what happens when I meet with somebody. That might be helpful.
Well, before you do that, actually, and maybe they can use this as a test example, Andrea is with us live, and she is asking, can you recommend a remedy for Lyme disease? I tested positive for Lyme after getting an extreme case of eczema. And she says, I have heard that turmeric and vitamin D are very helpful in combating coronavirus. That's a separate thing she was saying about that. But for Lyme disease that she's tested positive for, like, let's say she came to you, how would you approach that?
Well, homeopathy can be very helpful for Lyme disease. Again, it's looking at the person who has the Lyme disease. So when I meet with someone, it can be an 1.5 to 2 hour appointment. I don't do a hands-on, whether you come in person or not, because I'm not an MD, but it's finding out.
So you can do virtual too with anybody anywhere.
I do work virtually. Yeah.
Okay.
And that to find out what's bothering you. That's always the first thing I ask somebody. And then, people tell me how they experience something. Andrea mentioned about the eczema. We might ask about that, and just find out what your symptoms are. I will ask about your emotional state. I'll match about other parts of any symptoms in your body. I'll ask about fears, about dreams. I'm getting a total picture of the person.
Yeah.
And then we're putting together a puzzle in a way. We're doing it together. And then a homeopathic remedy is given that matches that totality. So again, it's not necessarily treating the Lyme disease, but it's treating Andrea who has been given the diagnosis of Lyme disease.
Interesting. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're looking beyond just the diagnosis. You
Yeah.
want to kind of see the whole person and see if, because I imagine that's also going to help you if you look in your book and Lyme disease has 50 different things. I mean, that's how you decide where you go with treating Lyme if you only have that piece of information, right? So you need all the pieces.
Right. And the pieces, it changes too. I do say that often a series of homeopathic remedies may be needed for somebody who comes in. Not that we do them all at the same time. We only do one at a time, but it's a process. And, it's taken time for you to become not well or not feel well. So it takes time to heal. So, but that first remedy may not do very much, but it will bring us to the next remedy. So I like to say, give it investment in the sense of in yourself in a way for your healing.
And you do it one at a time because you want to see, does that one thing work before you move on to the next thing? Otherwise, if you have multiple things, you don't know what's working and what's not,
exactly,
right? Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And really like this I did it this year. I've started to work with a woman who had, she came to me after this happened a year ago and had seen all different type of practitioners, but a sensitivity to noise, like she couldn't hear, listen to her children even talk. She couldn't go outside anymore. She was wearing earplugs and earmuffs and very sensitive to noise. And not that she had ear infections or anything like that. So we did one homeopathic remedy that seemed to kind of fit. In fact, when we did Skype, she didn't have the audio on. She was reading.
Oh, that's how sensitive. Oh my goodness.
So we did one homeopathic remedy that, seemed to fit, but really didn't do very much.
Okay.
We met again. And what was fortunate is that she signed up for a package. So we sort of had that time.
Yeah.
But we did a second one, and that really didn't do very much. We met some more, and even, all the pieces that I had already, there was something else that we went deeper, more of a deeper understanding, gave her a homeopathic remedy, and things very slowly started to improve. And now she goes to the beach. She went to the zoo last week.
Wow.
She's out, she went out to eat. She still has some sensitivity, but she says, I'm living, I'm not just surviving anymore.
Right.
So
yes. Oh, that's huge.
It's huge. And this is where I also find is that people come with something that's, I'm going to say it, peculiar. It's not the usual.
Right. I mean, you can't necessarily get, diagnosed very easily with something like that. It's like you're sensitive to noise. Okay.
And even if it was a diagnosis, the name, that wouldn't mean anything. The fact sensitive to noise. And that's where we started from. And she's done really well. It's still healing. It's still a process. Yeah. But it's also to say that it did take us, it was 3 remedies that we started to see more. Maybe she'll need another homeopathic remedy after this point. But the first 2 led us to the 3rd.
Yeah. No, well, it sounds like it's a journey. It's not just like, hey, we're going to have one meeting. Here's a prescription. See ya. Call me if you don't get better. It sounds like it is a process of a journey of getting to know the person and digging deeper each time and trying different things. And so don't expect, it's not like a 15-minute doctor's appointment.
Right.
Right. And so do you help, because a lot of women at this age have issues around, menopause, for instance. So do you, I'm just curious to know for our audience, like, how do you assist? Because sometimes those symptoms linger for many, many, many years beyond the official date that you're declared menopausal.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just going to turn this down.
Oh, sure.
Sorry, I don't know if you heard
That's
it or
okay.
not. Yeah, no, I hear you. And I do see some women for menopausal symptoms or other things that come up. I very often hear about digestive issues, sleep issues.
Yeah. Yes.
Again, it's very individual. And, I don't have I wish I had the magic pill. I really do. Again, it's individual, but it is something that could be part of your healthcare. And that's what I really like to get out about homeopathy, that it can be part of your healthcare.
Okay.
But it is not like, this is what you take. And for whatever reason anybody comes to see me for any age, the process is the same.
Yeah.
It's finding out what this is like for this person in front of me, for you, for that person.
So it sounds like you're saying this is, you're not telling people don't go to the doctor, just go to your homeopathy. You're not like excluding, you're saying it's just a different angle on, let's have a team of people who can be assessing you and looking at different aspects of something.
Right. And it's your choice. I'm big about choice. I'm very big about choice. And I cannot tell anybody to go off medications because I'm not an MD, but we can do homeopathy and whatever medications you are on together, but to have that monitored, the medications by your physician, because you may not need as much of that.
Right.
And we might need to use the homeopathy a little bit more often. But I do like to get as clear a picture about how the homeopathic remedy is working. So I often say, don't start something, especially acupuncture, at the same time as you're starting homeopathy.
Right.
Because
right. Otherwise you don't
keep,
know. Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't want to keep giving the homeopathic remedy because it's energy. I know that's like different, but it's energy, and you don't want to just keep giving it. You want to be respectful of what this medicine is. I'm trying to think of a case that I've had recently with a woman. I'm sorry, I thought of one and it just went completely blank. But there was a woman who had, she's not going through menopause, but she's before menopause, but her periods, a lot of PMS and just being very, very irritable, or aggravated or whatever, and even almost feeling belligerent in some ways.
Interesting.
She's starting to feel a lot, like calmer in a way.
So what does homeopathy not, like, what you would say to somebody who came to you and you're like, no, that's not something for homeopathy that don't add me to your team for this. I mean, is there, if somebody came to you with depression or whatever, or with, like, I don't know if it's physical ails, mental ails, like, what, is there a limit? Is there a?
No, I kind of think there isn't, because I do see people who have severe depression or anxiety. A lot of times the calls that I get, if they don't do homeopathy, maybe they're not ready to, they're not looking for homeopathy. They're looking for another specific form of healing, which I don't do. So then I'll say, well, I'm not what you're looking for.
Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah. So really, that's more of how I would answer that question. I haven't necessarily felt that no, homeopathy couldn't help. Maybe I'm a little bit, what's the word? I think there's such a need for homeopathy.
Right. No, you're a believer, and you've seen it work. So, I mean, it's not like you're a believer out of thin air. I mean, you've so, and if you're working with somebody, long distance, and you're saying you should, this is what we're going to start you on, whatever, how does that person get is it like there's certain like homeopathic pharmacies or
there are,
that you direct them to, or?
Yeah, I do that. And I also wanted to tell you a little about the remedies. Sometimes I have quite a bit, and so I might send it to you. In fact, I did that to somebody recently who's in LA.
And where are you again?
I'm in San Diego, California.
Gotcha.
There are homeopathic pharmacies. I know some people order on Amazon, which is okay, but I would prefer, if people order from the homeopathic pharmacies, to give them business. There's one up in Northern California, Hahnemann Labs. I order from them, and I order from a pharmacy in England. But
so they will all ship to you.
They can ship. I don't know about England, but Hahnemann will. And I always say, tell them what homeopathic remedy to order, the potency and all of that. So and how to take it. I did want to tell you, because this is part of the confusion. Homeopathic remedies, as I said, there are over 4,000 of them. They're made from plants and herbs like Allium cepa. They're also made from the periodic table, like aurum and Natrium moraticum, which is salt, and some minerals. They're made from animals, like the milk from mammals, the feather from a bird, insects, the venom from a snake. They're also made from what we call imponderables, which means something that you can't necessarily tangible, like sunlight. And I
Wow.
know this is sort of a little bit out there. So they're, again, when I explained a little bit how they're made, it's an original physical substance, and then at a certain point, it's the energetic pattern of it. So again, it's I keep repeating myself. It doesn't matter what remedy you need. It's what is matching what it is that you're experiencing. The name of it
Right.
doesn't matter per
Okay.
se. It's what is
Right.
similar to you. Yeah.
Interesting.
Have you heard of Arnica Montana?
I have not, but I'm
Okay.
not very, yeah. So tell us what.
Well, that's
what is
often a
that?
remedy that introduces especially moms to homeopathy, because it's
Oh.
often used for if their child falls, or has a slight head injury, or
Okay.
if people have dental work and they're very sore,
Right.
or there's an accident. And it's very helpful with if somebody feels very sore and bruised and they don't want to be touched,
Okay.
but they say they're fine and they're in shock. And that's used in a first aid situation, but yet it could be somebody needs that in a chronic situation, because I do have a patient who does very well with it. That nothing has happened first aid wise, but
Okay.
she feels that way, bruised. Yeah.
So are there certain things that, hey, I could go to my local Walgreens and buy some arnica or whatever, some supplement that is believed to help with sleeplessness or whatever. And,
Yeah. Well, I don't know about Walgreens, but I know there's a place like health food stores that they
right,
they
like
have
Nature's,
boron.
whatever. Yeah.
They have maybe 40 homeopathic remedies. They're little blue tubes,
Oh,
and
interesting.
they'll say something like it's good for digestion or headaches, and that's only a small part of what it's good for.
Okay.
And I tell, I might say, if you need that remedy, go get it. But I don't work that way with just having one
Right.
little.
Right. One shot. This will
Yeah.
take care of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, this is fascinating. We could keep talking forever, but
We could.
I want to be respectful of everybody's time. I tell people it's going to be half an hour.
Can I just say that, was it
yes.
Andrea said something about
Yeah.
turmeric and vitamin D, right?
Yeah, she said about for combating coronavirus. Yes.
Okay, so turmeric and vitamin D are vitamins and supplements. That's not my area. That's different than homeopathy. Okay.
Oh, that's good to know.
That's probably really helpful for the coronavirus, but that's not my area. There are homeopathic remedies that are helpful for the coronavirus. We're not hearing that in mainstream news, but
right.
there are. So, yeah.
But this is not things that you would just see on the shelf at Walgreens again.
No.
Yeah.
And you might see that homeopathic
right.
remedy, you would have no idea.
Right. Yeah. It's not. They're not labeling them or anything.
Well, because we're not hearing about it. But I mean,
right.
Vitamins are very helpful, but that's not my area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I am going to put your website in the comments for everybody to check it out. And I also know that you've got a wonderful offer for our viewers today to get to know you a little bit. So tell us about your Get Acquainted call and what happens on that.
Well, I love to talk to people and I love to talk about homeopathy, but I offer a Get Acquainted call, and it's really to find out a little bit about me and how I work, and me to find out a little bit about you, and then to see if this is something you want to pursue. Often people do tell me a little bit about how they're feeling, and often I get the question, can you help me? Can homeopathy help me with this? Have you helped people that before who have this? So I do offer that. My phone number, I don't know if I can give that to you here.
We can give it, because this is, I'm going to put this out in YouTube also. You probably don't want it on this, but you can certainly go in and comment and add it in the comments in the group too.
Yeah. And so sometimes I'll answer the phone and we can do it then, or we set up a time, 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you decide if this is a fit, that this is something you would like to do. Again, I get back to that I am for choices, and this is another choice for your healthcare. And people call me for all sorts of reasons.
Yeah,
really.
But you know what I'll do? I'll put the your contact page in the comments also, so people can just use that to reach out to you as well. That would be that's an easy way to do that too.
I do want to say that if you have a question, please call or email me. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt to get information. There's no, that you have to follow up in any way. But in addition to being a practitioner of homeopathy, I like to educate people. And it's starting to get, some information out. So I'd be happy to answer questions. And like Andrea, that was a great
Yeah, that's
question.
wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
well, we appreciate your time, and I feel like I've become more educated today.
Oh,
I've
good,
learned
good.
a lot, so thank you, and thank you everybody for joining us. And don't forget to check out the link. Somebody put it in the comments, and reaching out to Pamela for a Get Acquainted Call is a great way to get started. And certainly, if you enjoy these videos, please watch for more. Until then, be well and stay safe. And thank you again, Pamela.
Oh, thank you so much, Alina. This was wonderful. Love to do it.
Yay.
Bye.